Unbounce, we love to feature authors and their books of all different topics on our show. And tonight we have a very special guest. This is Cray Mahalia Francis. She's the literacy educator and author of Honeydew's Carnival Fever. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited.
So tell us a little bit about your teaching methods and sort of what you do.
Okay, so I've been an educator for well over 10 years. I started out in the Bronx, New York. That's where I'm originally from, and came down to Charlotte a couple years ago and decided to bring my literacy skills and strategies here to the students and to the faculty of Charlotte. And so back in New York City, I realized as a teacher very early on that I needed to find culturally relevant texts for my students to be able to make connections to and then be able to pull out their own stories so that they can write about them and just dig in deeper into characters and their stories. And so I couldn't really find relevant cultural texts. Back then I had a lot of immigrant children like myself growing up in New York City, and I just felt that I had to create my own stories in the classroom. And so during our balanced literacy workshops, I started writing about my own personal stories and how, you know, I came to this country at about 8 years of age, and then I did go back home to Antigua, where I'm from, and during the summer. And so I created Honeydew's Carnival Fever, which is a similar story, but it is fiction. I never got to play in Carnival. And so I wrote about this little girl named Honeydew. And she goes back to Antigua for summer vacation. She's about 10 years of age. She's an immigrant child. And she's really excited about participating in the annual Children's Carnival. And so she gets there, and she's having fun with her family, and then all of a sudden she gets sick. She gets a fever.
Oh, okay.
And so she's worried that she won't be able to play in Carnival. And so for those of you who don't know, Carnival in the Caribbean is similar to the Juneteenth festival here in America. It's where we celebrate emancipation from slavery. And so in the Caribbean, it tends to be about 10 days long of just revelry and having fun. And then the last 2 days, we call it Carnival Monday and Tuesday, is when people dress up in their costumes and they go out in the streets and parade and, you know, just revel in the fact that we came from strife, but we're still here and we're still making it happen.
Okay, so it sounds like it's based off of your own life experiences a little bit.
Yes, it is. And so as an educator, I think that's very important in terms of building connections with students. Many times, right now in America and elsewhere in the world, we're struggling with closing the achievement gap for students of color. And I think when educators are more purposeful and thoughtful in bringing culturally relevant texts within their classroom libraries, using them as mentor texts for their read-alouds, for their balanced literacy workshops, whether it be for writing or for reading or even for social studies, that you're able to foster these connections with students. And then guess what? They become motivated. When you see invested in who they are and their own personal backgrounds, their own personal cultural heritages, they then say, you know what, oh, Miss Francis or whomever, oh, she really values me. She really values my cultural background and who I am.
Wonderful.
And so you don't even have to technically pull out the work from them. They're just coming in every day ready and willing to work.
Excellent. So just a little bit about the type of book. It's a chapter book, and you and I were talking earlier. It's a little bit different because it's for younger children, but there's no pictures.
Yes. So, and like I told you earlier, I was very thoughtful. So in teaching reading fiction and personal narratives, I realized that author needs to be very descriptive with their words, and so I aim to do that with this book. So technically, students don't need visual pictures. We teach them a reading strategy called visualization. And that's when I may use a mentor text, such as my book, and I may say, you know what, close your eyes, I'm going to read your paragraph from this story. And tell me what you're seeing. And so children are able to dig deeper into the learning as they close their eyes.
Great. So we want to get some information up. The meet and greet with Teacher Cray is at the Golden Crust Caribbean Bakery and Grill in the University area this Saturday, noon to 2. And you can get a copy of the book as well as some other books. And, of course, everyone is welcome. Thank you so much for being here. What a great idea. Yeah, it's so nice to have you.
Thank
Delano.
Time now to get back to